So as a 14-year-old who was not dating or having sex, I didn't expect my results to come back positive. And when I was told that they were positive, I was I was really confused. I was just like, no, I don't think those are my results. There's no way.
Hi everybody, welcome to Just for Women Africa. My name is Olaleko Amusa, the founder of Just for Women Africa. And today we're on a Zoom interview all the way from Johannesburg, South Africa. And we have with us Saidi Brown, who's been living with HIV for the past 27 years. She's here to tell us about her story, how she got it, and all. Do not forget to hit the subscribe button, leave a like, leave a comment, tell a friend who knows a friend about Just for Women Africa. Yeah, welcome to the show, Saidi Brown.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. All right, Saidi. I'm sure the first question everybody will be asking is, how did you get HIV, and how did you find out you had HIV?
Okay, so I was born with HIV. I'm 27 years old, so I've been living with HIV all my life. I found out though when I was 14 years old. I was in grade 10, and the high school I was attending at the time was invited to this event, right? And I went there to go represent my school. There were people from some other NGO who said, guys, we are doing VCT, which is voluntary counseling and testing, and it's free. So come through if you'd like an HIV test. And because I was so young and so naive in my thinking, I just thought, let me just have this HIV test. Because obviously my results will come back negative. Because I was also thinking, I'm not dating, I'm not having sex, so let me just do the test. And I did it, and that is how I found out about my HIV status.
Okay. All right. So how did you feel when you were told that you were HIV positive?
I mean, I was really scared, but the main feeling or emotion that I always think of when I think of that place in my life is pure confusion. I think when we associate HIV, like when we think of HIV, we associate it so much with sex, and not just sex, but like promiscuity. So as a 14-year-old who was not dating or having sex, I didn't expect my results to come back positive. And when I was told that they were positive, I was really confused. I was just like, no, I don't think those are my results. There's no way. I was really scared and just confused. I kept saying, I'm just 14. I didn't do anything.
I know that must have been a real shock to you. So after you found out you were HIV positive, how did you deal with it? Did you tell your family? Did you tell your siblings? How did you deal with it? Did you go into counseling immediately? Did you start taking your medications, the HIV drugs? How did you deal with it?
So after finding out, I was scared to speak at home. So I didn't tell anyone for about 6 months. I kept it to myself. It was only 6 months later where I told a teacher at school, because I was still scared of telling my family. So I told my teacher at school, and she was the first person I ever told. She then took me home and she said, listen, let's go speak to your aunt about this. We got home, spoke to my aunt, and my aunt is the one who said, I knew about your parents. I did not know that you could have been born with HIV. So that is how we all just figured out that I must have been born with it. And after my aunt finding out, we had like a second opinion. We had a second test. Results came back positive. Then we told the rest of my family, and they were all so supportive. But we were really just treating HIV like it was this open secret where we all knew, but no one was saying anything about it. And that lasted for about 4 years. And during that time, I was not on medication. So 4 years later, I'm now 18 years old. I'm a bit grown, started dating. Then I started having sores on my neck, and they gradually moved to my face. And because I'm now 18 and trying to date, and I'm trying to look pretty all the time, I was just worried about my face. I was just like, there's no way. I need to get to a clinic. They need to remove these things off my face. So I went to the clinic one day. I was so deep in denial that during this time, I'm not thinking it could be HIV. I'm just thinking I need these things off my face. I got to the hospital and they said, but you came here 4 years ago, you know you tested positive for HIV, your health has deteriorated because you have not been on treatment. And they had my records because my aunt and I went for a second opinion. So that is how I started then getting on treatment.
Well, that must have been a real traumatic experience for you. I mean, having to go back to the hospital and realize that you had to be on medication and all. All right, so it brings me to my next question. How did you feel about your parents having the virus, but they did not tell you? I mean, have you figured out why they did not tell you were HIV positive from birth?
I think just because of the nature of HIV as a virus and how we treat it as human beings, I kind of get why they would keep it to themselves. Also, as people, we tend to think that we have so much time, right? So they obviously passed on, like my dad when I was 9 and my mom when I was 10. And I'm thinking during that time, they probably just thought, firstly, I'm still so young. Secondly, it's HIV. And during those times, I think the stigma was worse than what it is today. So they probably just felt like, let's just keep it to ourselves until she's old enough to understand. But unfortunately, they had no time because by the time I was 10 years old, they had passed on. And I found out when I was 14 when there was no one to give me the answers that I needed.
I'm really sorry to hear about your parents. All right. Okay, so when I mean you found out you were HIV, how did you deal with friends knowing you were HIV? I mean, when you finally decided to come out and let the whole world know that you were HIV, how did your friends react to it?
My friends were quite cool about it. I've been very blessed to have a very supportive structure, a very rigid support structure. And my friends, I was very worried about telling them because I just thought they would be judgmental. I was really, really scared, but they have all been very supportive and they are literally still in my life today. And there has never been a point in my life where I felt like I was being sidelined or being stigmatized because of my HIV status by my friends.
All right, that's really good to know. At least you have supportive friends around you. Okay, in terms of relationships, how has that affected you? Are you dating anybody currently?
No, I'm not dating anyone currently. And in terms of relationships, I will be honest and say, for the most part of it, I have not had HIV be a determining factor in how my relationships turn out. I've only experienced one person who rejected me because of my HIV status. And I was like 20 going on 21. Firstly, I was a baby. And secondly, because it was not something I had expected, it really broke my heart. Because I started being public about my status when I was 18. So from 18 until 20, I just went through life feeling like you can just tell anyone, they won't be so judgmental. Because I had experienced that amount of reception from people. So I met this one person who said, I really like you, but I can't. And that really broke my heart. It did. But we've grown. I'm 27 now.
Yeah, sure. That's not really nice. That's not really nice. But how did you deal with rejection when he said, "Oh, I can't date you because of your status"?
I mean, it was difficult. I cried. I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I was really heartbroken. I also think that it made me feel like living with HIV was such a burdening thing to have to go through. But as I'm saying, it was years ago and I've grown through that experience. And I also really genuinely think that in as much as I don't like romanticizing bad things, but because of the work that I now do on social media, where I speak to people who are living with HIV, I kind of think that that situation has really helped in how I address things like relationships and disclosure. Because before that experience, people would be like, I'm scared of telling my boyfriend, I'm scared of telling my girlfriend. And I just say, just disclose, nothing's going to happen. Because it had never happened to me. And I didn't think that it was a big deal until it happened to me. So now I think I tread easily when people speak to me about their love lives and HIV.
All right. So when a guy approaches you and says he likes you and he wants to date you, do you tell them upfront about your status, or you wait a while?
No. I disclosed very early in my relationships. Firstly, because my HIV status is all over the internet already, so it's not too easy to hide it. And secondly, just because I feel like there's no reason for us to waste each other's time. Let's just know if we are moving on with this or not. So I try to do it very early in the relationship.
Okay. All right, let's talk about the medications you take. How often do you take the medications, and what type of medications are there, and how many?
So I take one pill, and it's once a day.
Have you always been taking one pill for the last 27 years, or things have changed over time?
No. So I have always taken one pill because I started taking treatment when the one pill was just being introduced. So that has always been my life.
Okay. So do you get any side effects from taking the one pill once a day?
No. So what happened with that actually is that when I knew that I had to get on treatment, I was scared of these pills, because when we speak about the ARVs, there's also that whole notion that these pills are good, they will help you live, but they will also kind of make you sick because of the side effects, right? So that's what people normally say about them. So I was very scared about getting on treatment because I didn't want to be sick. And I remember going on Google and searching side effects of ARVs, and the results I got there, they said my hair was going to fall off, my teeth were going to fall off. It was all these things that made me really scared. I was just like, I'm just 18 years old. I don't want to have to go through this. So I went to the clinic and I was fully armed with this information. Got there and I told that lady who was giving me counseling that, listen, don't lie to me. I've read everything I needed to read from the internet. I know everything. Don't lie. And she just said, listen, there are side effects, but they are not as intense as you are making them out to be. And I just said, I will give these pills 1 month. And if I start seeing any changes, I'll never come back. But I've been on treatment for about 9 years now. So I really have not experienced any side effects. I think the only one I really experienced was like the drowsiness. But because I take treatment at night, it's not even an issue because I just sleep.
Okay. All right. Have you taken the COVID jabs yet?
Yes.
You take the COVID jabs. All right. Okay. We're about to round up the interview. To people who are watching in South Africa and all over the world, and hearing your story, what's your advice to people out there? I mean, the youth, the elderly, I mean, people who do not know about AIDS, people who have contracted the HIV. What's your advice to them?
I think that people need to just know that, yes, living with HIV is not an easy thing. And I don't do this work to give people this delusion that it's easy. It's not. But we need to get to a point as people who are living with HIV where we choose ourselves, where we know that there are things like treatment that does not cure you, but it will help you be able to manage your life better. So I know that it could be a difficult point in your life, but you are greater than HIV. We all are. And HIV is only life-changing, but it's not life-limiting. And I want us to all see ourselves as victors, as HIV victors, and to stop shaming ourselves and let go of the internalized stigma.
All right, Saidi, thank you so much for coming on the show and telling us your story. We really appreciate it. We wish you all the best, and we look forward to interviewing again in the future.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, everybody, we've been watching. Thank you for watching Just for Women Africa, and we have Saidi Brown all the way from Johannesburg. And from keep on watching, like, subscribe, tell your friend who knows a friend about Just for Women Africa. And from Saidi Brown and I, it will be bye.
Bye, everyone.